Hey folks, how are you? I will just allow a few people to jump on. We're live. We're trying to go live every Tuesday at 11 o'clock, and it would happen to rain as soon as I go live. It is thundering down where we are, and the mornings have been pretty wild and woolly. So if you hear a lot of noise in the background, I do apologise. Let me turn this down a bit. How does this work? And that might help ease the pain. So what we're going to chat about today is what happens when a dog enters the radio signal with the dog fence collar on. There's a lot of people asking about what's called something called a warning zone, and then there's the correction zone. So say hi if you're just logging on. Now, as you know, with the dog fences, I'll give you a bit of a rundown. I won't go into too much detail. What happens is you run a wire around the property, and that produces a radio signal. The radio signal then projects out of the wire, and you can control the distance using the range control at the base of the transmitter. All dog fences work pretty much the same, but obviously it's the features that go into them that set them apart. So you'll see there's a number of different layouts that we can do. This is what I call the hourglass, if we can get there nice and quick. And then if you click on those, it'll give you the design. So if you pick one of those to do, probably one of my favorites is the dog fence garden bed one. And this diagram helps to explain how you can manipulate the radio signal by running the wires in a particular way. But what actually happens is the transmitter, if you think about the transmitters on the radio dog fences as a radio, and what would happen in a two-way radio in a car, the radio signal would go up the aerial and leave the aerial. Now, I've done other videos on that, so I'm not going to go into that too much. Now, what happens with these systems is the radio wire runs around the property. It must return back to the transmitter. The transmitter's job is to block the signal. There's nowhere for it to go. So what happens is you've got pressure. And then when you turn the pressure up, you push the radio signal out from the wire, and you can dictate the distance, provided you've got certain things lined up. But we're getting into conversations about regulated power supplies and things like that, different types of radio frequencies. But this one is about the warning zone. So if I hold this collar, I've lost my little doohickey, I'll have to get another one. There it is, ready for me. So this is the wire that we use. It's actually the strongest wire made in Australia. It's got a high density polyethylene coating, and it's got a 7-strand copper core. So you can see those strands there, which makes it super tough. There's videos on the websites where I'm hitting it with a shovel and it doesn't break. Now, what happens when the dog goes towards the signal? The collar will pick up the signal and it will react to the warning zone, and the dog will get a warning. Now, you can see the red light and the green light there. If I take it away and just do the green light, that's this section here. This is called the warning zone. And the dog gets a noise. No, for want of a better word, zapping, no correction, just a warning beeper. So what I say to people, fair cop, the dog goes into the signal and he's going to get a little warning beeper, and then he'll understand you've taught him that's to go backwards. Now, we've got the training guides in our membership area, so you can actually see the training. Now, several things I'd like to talk about. Number one, the warning zone. When the dog goes into the warning zone, he gets the warning beeper. You can then control the levels of the collars in a good system by using the little magnet and holding that to the side of the collar, and the collar will, as long as it's not in the signal, get rid of this one, the collar will change levels. What happens when it changes levels? You're actually increasing and decreasing what the dog's going to feel, and you'll see the lights on top of the collar, and the beeping will tell you exactly what level the collar is on, and if you leave it there, it changes the levels. So that alters the intensity. We do have a level 0 on this collar. So when you're doing the training, the first phase is you can go anywhere in that zone and the dog will not be affected by the stim in the collar. It's not until you put it on level number 1 and you follow our training guide that the dog's going to get the correction. Now, the next subject is called anti-linger. If the dog sits in the warning zone there for 15 seconds, this particular collar will give a little quick ping from the collar. That means that you've got the ability for the dog to sit there, hear the beepers, but if they're going to start to run your battery down, they're not going to be able to run the battery down and cost you $10 a month. This is not a rechargeable collar, by the way. It will last you up to 2 years. We say every Christmas is a good opportunity to get a new battery. It will last you up to 2 years, and it's not rechargeable. So it's a $18, $20 battery. Get them through us because they're very fresh, and it's just a matter of taking it out, disposing of it correctly, and then off you go. Now, the biggest reason dogs jump the fence these days is because the batteries are flat. People don't charge them up. People don't remember to replace the batteries every month, and that costs you $10 a month, by the way. So having the anti-linger in this massively extends the battery life, and it massively improves the convenience to the dog owner as well. Now, when the dog sits in there and they get the little ping from the collar, that's designed to tell them to go backwards. Now, as you saw before, that warning zone looks like this. That's the red light, that's the zapping. If I take this away, that's the warning zone, and it's a different noise. It's a very thin. Usually the warning zone is about 10% of the distance from the wire in the center over to the edge. The first 10% approximately is going to be warning zone. Now, when the dog gets into the correction zone, which is this zone here, the collar will activate and give a correction, and then you control the levels. With this system, we've brought along the mini receiver collar and the standard receiver collar to show you the differences in size. That's the mini one on this side, and they both act the same in the signal. So you can control the distance, you can control the level of the collar. The dog is not going to recognize the difference between the warning zone and the correction zone, and you'll notice there is actually a difference in noise as well. Not only the fact that you get the different tone and you get the correction in the correction zone, but actually the noise changes. Now that's a crickety noise, and the light on the collar is going red and green. That's the correction. The crickety noise is the zapping noise, but the dog won't know the difference for a little while. He'll start to pick up, oh, okay, this is just a little beeper, and it's not doing that funky thing that really I don't like, that stops me from running through the front gate. So he's okay there, but if he sits there too long, he's going to flatten your battery. That's why anti-linger is quite a good feature. The next little feature of what might happen, some people are concerned that the dog might get caught in the radio signal. So a good system, in fact, pretty much all systems these days, if they come from a reputable manufacturer, will have what's called a safety shutdown feature. Hey, we got a thumbs up from someone. Any more thumbs up out there? So if I leave that there for 15 seconds, then the collar will shut down and go to beeping only. Can you see that? Automatic. Oh, I got a love heart. We're on a roll. Automatically goes into shutdown, and then every 15 seconds the collar will deliver a little ping. So if the dog does get confused and doesn't know how to get out, the collar will correct, and then it will shut down, and every 15 seconds they'll get a little reminder that they're not in a good spot. But you shouldn't get to that point if you do the training properly. According to our training guide, you can see that in the membership area. Then your dog is going to know, I hear that noise, that means go backwards, don't go forwards. There are a few tips and tricks that we give you inside the membership that you can have a look at that will massively improve the effectiveness of the system and ensure that you're not going to get a run through. The last thing to tell you about is what is going to affect the dog and stop things like run-throughs as well. Okay, number one, reaction time on the receiver collar. Without getting too far down this rabbit hole, what happens is the collar listens for the radio signal from the transmitter. Now, this particular transmitter is independent. It doesn't tell the collar what to do. All our transmitters do is give you a coded digital FM radio frequency. So all our collars do is spend all day listening for that same coded digital FM radio frequency. On the back of our transmitters, we can change it over, but that's a bit of a phone call. If your neighbour's got a radio pet barrier or another brand, they don't usually like living next door to each other, so you can call us and we can change things over the phone, which is tell this to do a different frequency and tell this to listen for a different frequency. So the speed of the reaction is massively improved because the collar is not waiting for the transmitter to tell it what to do and which dog to correct. You can control the individual levels of the collars per individual dog without a drama. So all you have to do is pick the type of collar you want, then you learn how to get the little test light, hold it up to the side of the magnet. Oh, we got 2 thumbs up. Awesome. We're on a roll. And then it will tell you what level it's on. It'll go to the next level. And then you'll understand what the dog is going to feel. That's level 0, then back to level 1. Now, the other thing is the pulse rate. If you hear this noise, it sounds like a cricket noise. Now that is fairly intense when it goes like on the dog's skin. So rather than have a very high level, which we do have the higher levels if you need them, we have stubborn dog collars also, you've got a much more intense sensation when the collar is running the TENS machine sensation, like a physiotherapist in a TEN machine. But that's a different training session. This one is about what does the dog experience when it gets into the signal. It gets the warning zone. We have the anti-linger to extend the battery life. It's a different noise than in the correction zone, and when you can control the level of the correction in the correction zone, and you can use the levels on the collar to make the training really easy on the dog and make your life a lot easier, and make sure you get years and years and years and years and years and years of safe dog containment. All right, tune into the next video. We'll go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole again. Thanks, guys. Bye for now. More love hearts. I'm loving these love hearts.